Hello, I am Bentham and welcome to Factslowrio, the longest running series on my channel. It has been a little bit of a while. I did miss an episode, so today we're doing a double episode to make up for lost time. So welcome to both episode 5 and 6 of Factslowrio. For those who aren't familiar, this is a series that I do on a much slower release schedule than my other ones. That way it's easier for me not to screw it up. That said, I did then, of course, screw it up. But I feel like, sometimes you're going to miss one, and that's just how it is. You know, it's not the end of the world, and we'll pick right back up where we left off, carry on, and get caught up. So, you may be noticing things are going slowly if you're new to the series. This is where we take Factorio and we slow it down. I used to do a lot of Factorio videos where I would speed things up. I would go at quadruple or triple speed. Triple speed ended up being the one that seemed most comfortable and I stuck with for a couple of series. And I thought, why not try it the other way? You know, because when you're doing triple speed, you're able to, talk about the broad strokes and that kind of thing. But, you're not able to focus on the little details and all the little things that you're doing. So that's what this gives me the opportunity to do. So there's also the fact that because we're speeding it up, the actual amount of gameplay is relatively short. The way it works is each episode is 6 minutes and 20 seconds of gameplay, which turns into a 20-minute video, as I would usually do for a Factorio speed change thing. A post-commentary thing. So you can see currently, I've leapt into action because there isn't much time to get things done. You've got to move quickly here, though I'm finding new stuff popping up that's getting in my way. It's giving me tips on how to play the game, which I'd like to think I don't need at this stage, but it's a new thing for one of the updates that's happened since the last episode. So they've cropped up and I couldn't work out how to get rid of them initially, so I just gave up and closed it, and we'll worry about that another time. Later on I'll work it out, but I don't want to waste time faffing about in menus when there's only so little time to get things done. So one of the first things I get on with today is setting up some coal mining. I run over to a coal deposit. It's a little bit far away from the middle of everything, really. There was some coal right by the starting point, but it was a very small amount. We've got miners already on a lot of it, and we can't do any more mining than we're already doing, pretty much, apart from swapping out the burner miners we have for electric ones. So I've gone over to the nearest larger coal deposit, and I put down some miners, and we're going to belt it down into the rest of the factory so that we've got enough coal to get some serious work done, mainly in the realm of smelting. That's going to be the thing for today. So yes, also while we run this belt, so because I missed last episode, we're doing 2, so this time it is 12 minutes of gameplay. It would be 13 minutes and 20 seconds, but I've been running over in a lot of the previous episodes, I think pretty much every one, and it's ended up that I was getting ahead of myself, and so I thought, seeing as we're doing a double episode, this is an excellent time to shorten it and bring things back into balance and make it so that it is 6 minutes 20 seconds per episode. Otherwise, if I did it on a single one, then it'd be a particularly short one. But seeing as we've got this double, it makes sense to do it right now. We run the coal belt down to the factory. We connect it up to the coal belt that goes to the steam engine, so that we don't have to worry about supplying them off that single miner anymore. I'm sure it would be fine, but it's better if the main coal belt goes past that, because then they're going to get priority to grab anything that's coming by before it heads on to any other part of the factory. And then try and get a couple more miners going, and we're going to start mining a lot of iron. Previously we've just been using burner miners feeding into some stone smelters to make our iron production, but iron's really limiting us right now. It was coming up a lot in the previous episode, and it's time to start scaling things up, to really start increasing the production rates significantly with some new structures, some proper arrays and that kind of thing. So we're mining some iron with just a whole bunch of electric miners, and we're going to run that into a furnace column. We're going to get a proper furnace column going, making this system obsolete, and then we'll have much quicker smelting than we've been having, and it'll allow us to do a lot more projects, because what I keep finding, even in this episode as I'm setting this up, is that I keep just not having the iron to do the things I want to do. I'm having to just grab it as it comes and make things, make what little I can and make what little progress I can. Of course, once this is going, we'll be doing much better. Also I should mention the upload schedule, how exactly this works, because some of you may have been around, you may be more recent arrivals to the channel and may not actually be familiar with this series. The release schedule is a very, very sedate, easy to consume, once per year. That's the idea. It comes out once per year on the same day every year. I will admit the last episode was a little bit late in the day. I think from the perspective of people in the US it might still have been the correct day, but it was one day late for people in the UK, which, you know, is important because that's where I am. So it will forever be listed incorrectly on my dashboard and taunt me every time. So we'll see if we can get it right on this one. I'm running things a little bit close to the wire here with things I got to do today, but I think we'll be able to get it out in time, and you'll be able to see, if you're watching it, whether that happened or not. So we've got the coal all the way back to the base, and we've got a belt bringing iron out as well. I've got an idea for you know, a double-sided furnace column, ultimately. So I'm making the initial elements of that design, but I'm only going to do one side of it for now, just to get something going and not worry about, you know, faffing about with multiple different iron belts and having splitters and underground belts and things to contend with. We're just going to keep it simple. We're going to have it on one side with room to expand to the other side later on. Grabbing from my little production square here, the circuits and gears that have built up, though it's not really that great a supply. Again, it's just everything related to iron is struggling, and I mean, those machines I think are running pretty close to what they can. Really, we need more of them. It's more of everything. I mean, that's Factslowrio at the end of the day. It's about increasing production. It's about exponential growth, and right now we've been sitting on certain aspects of our production system for a couple episodes now, and that means a couple of years. We got to get moving here. By the end of this, we'll come up to the 40-minute mark, though, and I end up going a little bit short. I forget about the old issue of when you open the science menu, the clock stops, and so I was trying to time it so that we finished exactly when the autosave happened for the 40-minute mark, because I have my autosave set to every 20 minutes, so every 3 years we get an autosave, and we would have got one this year, but I messed it up. I was on the sign screen for a few seconds working some things out. That meant the timer was no longer correct, and so I was hanging around waiting like, is it autosaving? It doesn't seem to have done it yet, and then I ended it because I thought I must have missed it, and I was overtime when I was in fact under by 5 seconds, so that I'm afraid there's 15 seconds of episode you've missed out on here, but it does mean that, you know, next time we can run over by 5 and I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I've got to remember that whole thing about the science screen, is that you know, the time stops when I'm on that. And of course, every time science is completed, I have to go to that screen because I don't have science queuing enabled, because when I created this save, it wasn't a thing. I forget what version we were even in when I started this series, but we were a fair few back, which does bring me to what you might have seen at the start, which was that I seem to load it up twice. That is because for the first time, I had to migrate the save into something that could be loaded in the current version of Factslowrio. Now, admittedly, that is because of the extra time, because I missed an episode. If I'd managed to get an episode in last year on time, as I should have, then I wouldn't have had to do a jump, but as it is, there were too many updates in between last episode and this one, and so I had to load it in a lower one. So what I ended up doing was, I think it was previously in 17 point something, experimental, I think early experimental point 17 was last episode, and by the time of when the following episode 5 was meant to be, we were in I think the tail end of point 18, and then point 18, once it was fully stable, was then turned into 1.0 with a couple of extra additions made to it as well that weren't expected to cause tons of bugs, and that was considered, you know, the stable for release and all that. So that's the thing. Factslowrio is out now. I think I predicted last episode that by the next episode Factslowrio would be out, but even though that's technically true, the time that the episode was meant to come out, Factslowrio wasn't released. So I was over hopeful again with that, but it did finally happen. Factorio did finally release, and so yeah, the 0.18 turned into 1.0, and since then we've had 1.1, and that's the problem, is that was too many steps from early 0.17 to 1.1. So what I had to do was load the previous save in in 1.0. So we loaded the save in 1.0, so we got to for a brief moment we got to see what it looks like in that, and then I closed it again, so you got to see the migrations in case you care. It's always fun to see there's a migration list every time we load up the save for a new episode, which is always fun. And then once I'd done that, I loaded it up in the latest version. I forget exactly what it is, but it's in the description. I always make sure to list the version number of Factorio in the description of my videos, seeing as Factorio does like to update a hell of a lot, and it's hard to keep track of when, at what stage the game was at any particular time. Now, we've made excellent progress on this column here. We have the iron ore going in, we've got the coal going in, and we've got the iron plates coming out, and a fair few of the furnaces set up with all the correct inserters and so on. It was a bit fiddly to set up because, of course, I was scrounging for iron the whole time, but now the system itself is making iron. I can scrounge iron off of this system as well, which will help to speed things up, and there's that exponential growth. As now we've got a little bit of it going, we can start to use that to make things move a little quicker, because yeah, at the moment I'm struggling to have anything. I got no belts on me and a couple of inserters, and that's about it. You can see there's more and more tips appearing in the bottom left as well, which is quite funny. I eventually work out how to get rid of them, which involves some fun hammering of buttons. There we go. I'm running along the belts, grabbing all the iron that there is on both iron belts that there currently are, just so I can make enough belts to connect the belt to the belt. A lot of belts going on. We must use the belts to connect the belts. We're almost there. One last craft. And there's the remaining 2 belts we need to make the connection. And then a bunch more as well, because of course you always need more belts. You see the coal is building up nicely. I think 4 miners for that was a hell of a lot, and is going to be more than enough for us to work with for a while. However, I do end up adding some more to it later, just to make sure that you know, it's extra future-proof and that kind of thing. So I've decided 4 furnaces isn't enough. We already had like 6 going already on the non-array iron production. So I decided to double this straight away to 8 furnaces, so it's actually producing more than we were doing before, and that means we'll be doing more than double what we were before. And this is a pretty standard design that I've used for many years now. It's a very common one. I don't think I came up with it myself. I think I copied it from somebody else. I think I just spotted it and was like, oh yeah, that's the obvious way to go about this. It's a very simple setup that gets the job done. Means you can have 2 iron belts on either side of the coal belt, so that you can get 2 solid columns out of it, each fed by a full belt. The belts can of course be upgraded as time goes on. The furnaces can be upgraded. The thing can become like quite a high production rate system. Only problem with it, of course, is that it uses coal-powered furnaces, and later on you do get electric furnaces. So in the end, it all gets torn down and replaced. But for now, it's going to be the backbone of, I was going to say just our iron production, but honestly the entire factory. The entire factory lives or dies based on how good your iron production is. Running down the belt again, grabbing everything that's there, also the circuits and the gears, just to try and like get together the materials to add more to this column, because the problem is if I keep having to do little bits every time, then I'm wasting more time, and time is extremely precious here. Like looking at the clock, we're still in the first half of it right now, so but we're already most of the way through that first half, so it shows how little time I have to get things done. Like every year I get 6 minutes 20 seconds to make a difference. Or is it, wait, no, is it 6 minutes? No, it's 6 minutes 40 seconds. I'm sorry. Yes, no, I don't worry. I got the calculations right before the episode. I just forgot right now how it works. Yeah, no, it's 6 minutes 40 seconds each year, turning into a 20-minute episode. And this time it would be 30 minutes 20, but I shortened it a little bit to account for times that I've run over previously. Particularly, I ran over by, I think, a full minute of gameplay last episode, so that really sent us off kilter there, but I've counteracted that with this one, and then overegged it slightly too. Once again, the things getting in our way. This time the crafting rate, though, actually. because of course, you know, there's only me to do the crafting right now. I don't yet have a setup to make the belts for me. I have another look at this point, all these little different tips and tricks coming up, and I realize that I can just hammer the marker's red button and it very quickly goes through them. It also makes a bunch more as you go, but eventually if you hit the button enough times, it gets through them all, and now that thing is gone off the bottom of the screen. Also, interesting thing about the UI is that you may notice the character thing in the bottom left. It used to be in the bottom right for like almost all of Factorio's existence. In fact, I think for all of Factorio's existence from like 0.1, which I think was just an internal like mock-up that wasn't released, but eventually they released it on like an anniversary for people to faff around with. I think that had the gun and the ammo and the armor and the character stuff in the bottom right, but now it's in the bottom left, and I don't think I changed that. I don't think I pressed any buttons to make that happen. I think that's just the updates decided it's over there now, which is curious. I suppose it does make sense because you get the info things that appear on the right side under the mini-map, and sometimes they are really long, and so I guess if you move the character thing over to the left, then you give more room for those things to display, which is useful. And that was the sound of science being completed at 1/3 speed. We have now researched steel processing. I will have to make sure to get some of that done. I don't actually do any of that this episode. Really, I probably should have thrown something together to get some steel production going, but I forgot in my rush to get other things done. But now, I'm like, for a minute, I'm not really sure where to go from here. So I decided to go for electronics, because that unlocks a whole bunch of other techs that will be useful to us. I think some of them are just red signs, some of them take green. But it is like a key like building block for a whole bunch of the tech tree. Doesn't give you much itself, but it will matter for a lot of other things. It will give us fast inserters, so on, which is something that will be useful in a couple of the areas of the factory right now. I'm having a quick browse around. I'm thinking about what I want to make. I would like to make some electric mining drills, but once again, I just don't have the iron. So we'll go grab yet more iron. We also need gears for that, of course. Start hoovering up the belt. Again, I grabbed the gears recently, so there's probably not much in there. So we just run along the length of the belt. There's a lot more iron on it now that we've connected up the 2 iron belts to it, so that does help a lot. I don't even bother with the iron from the other belt. In fact, it looks like I stopped. I've got to remember what I do as well, because, you know, watching it back at a different speed, everything feels and looks different, so it's hard to keep track of exactly what Bentham was up to when he was doing all these things. But yeah, we carry on the belt. We did some quick consulting of menus. But yeah, we're just trying to grab more iron. We want to do things in large chunks if we can, just because it's going to save time. We can just order a whole bunch of things crafted and not worry about it, that kind of thing. So there we go. We've got over 1.5 stacks of iron now. That's a lot to be getting on with. Let's extend the column even more, because, you know, I hoovered up all that and I'm like, that's still not that much iron. I could do with more. Normally I wouldn't, you know, go this nuts this early in a game, but I'm rushing here. I'm trying to get things done because I know there's only so much time, and, you know, I want to progress. I want to move things along quickly, and so I don't want to ever wait for anything. Whereas normally in any other Factorio game, I'd happily just sit around and wait for a little bit to get something done, or I'd wander off and do something interesting. I'd check out what the biters are up to. Maybe I'd go like scout the bases. I'd do a little bit of a look around the map while things got made, that kind of thing. Like, I'd make myself useful, but in a relaxed kind of way. Here we don't have time for that. We gotta get things moving. If there's not enough iron, we gotta build more iron production immediately. There's no time to waste. You see, I'm crafting belts, but even that, it's not quick enough. I had to wait for a second for more to be made so that I could finish it off. And then we got to switch to making some inserters. Unfortunately, we're out of gears. This is a common thing right now. Is like, now that we've got we're getting a better supply of iron, gears are becoming the big issue. We just don't have enough of them for anything we want to get done. So I'm having to craft them all manually. And there we go with the new tip, just to be annoying. And it's worth pointing out that at this point, we're past the halfway point. Like, we'd be wrapping up the episode right now if it was a normal episode. Only because it's a double length one are we able to, like, you know, complete the work we're trying to get done on this array here. So I've queued up the crafting. I've queued up exactly what I need. 4 long-armed inserters, 8 short inserters, just so that I can quickly get this extra bit of the array going, and I don't have to wait around for other things to craft before I can build it all. Really, what I should have done, though, was queue up a bunch more crafts following that, because as soon as those are done, my crafting bar is available for work, and we got to keep it working. There's a lot of stuff to craft and only so much time to craft it in. So, getting the array set up, also, always an important thing to note for new players. It's a mistake everyone makes once. Well, I say once. I've made it a few times, I'll be honest, but eventually you learn not to make it, which is you never put the output inserters in line with the long arm inserters that feed into those furnaces. We did just get a biter attack there on the south, but it was fended off easily enough. Biters have been a fair bit of a problem in recent episodes. I think the last episode was the first one where they actually showed up. I think I plonked down a turret and the biters arrived as I was loading ammo into the turret, which was quite cool. And we did take out a base in that one as well. That was a pretty productive one, all things told. I got a lot done there. Took out a base, built defenses. It was pretty good. But I started thinking about defenses here because, of course, I just built new bits of the factory. They're not covered by turrets, and we did just get a biter attack. We know that they're keeping an eye out. We know that they want to take things out, and especially with the aggressive expansion that I'm doing here, the pollution is going to be growing rapidly, and that means the biters are going to be getting angrier and stronger rapidly as well. So I start making some turrets to put in a couple new spots where I built new things, and we'll grab some iron to like make some ammo, that kind of thing. So yeah, you've got to make sure not to put the outputs inserter in line with the long-armed inserter feeding into a furnace, because if you do, if you ever deconstruct the furnace, which, you know, you may well do at some point, especially considering that those systems often get decommissioned as a factory develops, you will then get coal being brought by the long-armed inserter right to where the output inserter takes... Oh, that's an alarm. I gotta stop that thing. Now you see... I did say, you know, time was short today. I got a lot of things going on, but I'm like, I gotta get this done. I can't miss this one out. So I made sure to cram this in. That alarm doesn't matter. It was a warning alarm, so we are fine. Normally I would stop and restart, but we are like 20 minutes in, and I don't have enough time to record this again unless I wait till later, and then it's definitely not going to be uploaded in time. So I'm gonna make sure I'm trying to get this done. We're going down to the wire with this one. Everything's a rush here. Yeah, so the inserter, the output inserter will pick up the coal that the long-armed inserter is trying to deliver into the furnace that's no longer there. And that means you end up with a whole bunch of coal all over your factory, all where you're meant to have iron plates, or if you have the belts the other way around, you end up with iron ore all over where iron plates are meant to be, and it's just a real bad time that you don't want to... you don't want to deal with. So always make sure to line up the short inserters with each other, because then they can't reach each other if the furnace is removed. Now you may have spotted there, I set up a new bit of production. I put down one extra assembler on the end of the line to make me some ammo, because crafting ammo is gonna, you know, it's gonna take up precious crafting time, and I'm always gonna forget to do it until I need to do it. So I realized I just gotta make a machine that does it for me. We got enough iron on the belt now. You can see it's built up a fair bit down there, so we can put one of those down there and not worry about it. In the meantime, that means I can spend my crafting time making some more belts, and I can also spend, you know, the rest of my time getting some wood, because we ran out. We don't have any to make any boxes with, or any power poles or anything. This is a pretty barren area. There's not much in the way of trees, so I'm just finding lots of dead trees. I'm getting 2 wood from each one. Really, it's not an efficient use of time, but I don't know of any forests that are particularly nearby, so I think it's the best that I can do, really, if I want to get some extra wood. And I need it. I need it for boxes. I ain't making any iron chests. Definitely not in this one. I'm making wooden ones until I can make steel, and we don't have steel yet, so wooden chest is all we've got. So I wonder by this iron coal mining over here, and I think I want to add a couple more to that. I also want to put down some turrets there, but I head back first. I got to craft some more miners for that, and I think I don't have the iron on me anymore. I wanted to make 2, just plonk them on the end to get a little bit of extra coal mining going. But I gotta get a little bit more for it. So I head back down, means I can also get some ammo while I'm here, to make sure I can load the gun properly. Though actually I did have enough on me as it was. And then we run down the line, hoovering it up. And the line is building up quite nicely now. Much happier with this, because we've got 12 different furnaces working on the task of making his iron. I mean, only 9 of them are actually going onto belts. There's 3 that aren't, and I have to manually grab from them, which I keep forgetting to do, but I don't think they're generally getting a chance to fill up. You may have spotted there that the miners aren't actually fully feeding the the column. 4 miners is apparently not enough. I forget what the ratio is these days, but it ain't that's for sure. And as I run along this belt grabbing a whole bunch of coal, I think I kind of become aware of this. But the reason I'm grabbing a whole bunch of coal is to just fully fuel up all of these things over here, because I've been, you know, having to carefully manage the fuel content of each one of these. And it's annoying. It's a waste of time. If we can just fill up on a whole bunch of coal, we can just quickly run over them all with some good old hotkeys and instantly fill them all to the brim with coal and not worry about them for a while. Though I tried to do that, the one thing that wasn't running didn't get fueled because I ran out of coal just before I got to it. So I grabbed more coal off the belt and I start thinking, yeah, I actually do need to get a couple more miners on this maybe. Then again, this is kind of a one-time resource sink here. Once I've filled these things up, I just need to keep them topped up. So it's not too bad. But we get some more coal so we can load that thing up and we see if there's any more loading to be done on the furnace as well. Thing is there, I think that's full. And yeah, there it is. It is indeed. Or is it full? Oh, maybe it wasn't actually. But yeah, I remember to grab out of those things. So I've got a whole bunch more iron to work with. Now I've got a serious supply of iron going. We got over 3 stacks of the stuff, which is, you know, that's enough to really not worry about it for a minute. That said, I do some crafting and immediately a whole bunch of it goes. But this is building up supplies. This is for one of the first times, and we did it a little bit with belts earlier. We crafted some of those when we were getting some wood. But now I queue up a whole bunch of inserters just for the sake of having them. I don't actually need these for anything in particular. I just know that I'm going to need them down the line. I also make sure to grab some gears out of the gear chest so that I can not craft all the individual gears for those inserters. And really, I probably should have cancelled the long-armed inserters as well, because they're manually crafting the gears too, and it's doing 10 for every 5. So it is a bit of a pain, but I mean, we would have had to craft some in the end anyway. And in fact, yeah, we run out of gears once again when I queue up the production of a couple of assemblers. And now we are crafting on demand again. I've got a particular idea for what these assemblers are going to be for. Got rid of that tip and trick again. We'll see if any more crop up before we're done. But yeah, at this point, at the 27-minute mark, we've done 9 minutes of gameplay. We've got a little over 3 minutes remaining. And then that's it. That's it for another year. So... yeah, I'm trying to make every second count. Now, I'm making some defenses over here. Of course, we just set up this array. It is not defended. So I've got a turret which will cover the whole array as it is built right now. So that'll work pretty well. Plonk that down, open that up. We're going to put 10 ammo in it. That should do. I think that's what I've been doing in all the others. I forget exactly, but 10 seems like a good number. So, you know, fend off 1 or 2 biter attacks, and then we make sure to check in on it and see if it's okay. We don't really have the resources yet to start, you know, fully loading those things. I don't think you ever really need to. You progress pretty quickly to armor-piercing ammo, and so I find that you don't usually have to fully load things with the basic ammo, and that it often becomes a waste. That said, you can turn the basic ammo into the armor-piercing, so it's not the end of the world if you have a bunch of that in excess anyway. So there I check out the state of turrets. So I think I went to the mini-map and I switched on turret view so I could see what is covered by turrets, and everything is. That one turret was all we needed in the main base to sort things out there. The only thing now is the coal mining. The coal mining up in the top right is, of course, not protected. That is another new build for today. So we've really been quite productive in terms of like new structures going down. A lot of new buildings have been placed. So, you know, that's something to be proud of. And the iron supply, yeah, we basically made the iron supply and the coal supply much, much more useful to us going forward. And now we just have to worry about copper and maybe stone, but then you don't need stone in large amounts until much later on, really. But the stone supply we have, did I say stone before? I don't know anymore. But yeah, the stone supply that we have is, you know, very small, but it has served us perfectly well. So it's hard to say. We'll just have to see how things go. Copper will need expanding sooner rather than later. We're going to start to need, you know, circuits in large amounts, that kind of thing. At the moment, we've got a nice supply built up because we've had a bit of circuit production going that hasn't been doing anything apart from feeding me personally. And a lot of the early stuff you make just uses gears and things. Inserters and stuff, and I mean miners as well, do use circuits, but the amount of circuits that things use goes up as you progress through the game. Initially, it's more focused on gears and then goes from there. So right now we've got a build-up of circuits. It will start to deplete as as our production ramps up more and more, and we'll have to start thinking about making some kind of proper circuit production array. So it managed to get another miner built. I just wanted to put down 2 more, and I also made a couple extra ones as well, just to, you know, for other purposes, like for copper or iron or whatever. So we get a couple more belts connecting those up, and then I nearly forget what I'm there for, which is actually to put down the remaining turret that I have and defend this place. I just decided to put the extra miners on it while I was here putting the turret. Nearly walked off without doing the turret, which is very silly on me. So we put some ammo in there as well. I just put half a stack in. I don't worry about, like, you know, metering it out exactly, especially because this is slightly more remote, so a little bit of extra ammo will probably serve it fairly well. We can grab some more when we get back anyway, so that our personal supply is much better. And yeah, things are looking pretty good. We've got a big iron array going. We've got some big coal production going. From my checking of power so far, things have seemed pretty good. The one thing right now is that the ore supply to the iron production is not doing great. So we just see if we can do something about that. So it's very weird hearing the sounds of machines as we go past them at 1/3 speed. The game's added a lot more sounds, I think, since the last episode. Seeing as, you know, 2 years have passed, there's been a lot of time for new updates to come in, and a lot of the stuff later on in development was atmospheric things, noises that machines make, and that kind of thing. So we get to really appreciate some of that. You know, really, you know, draw it out and listen to all the intricate details of the sounds and that kind of thing. Now, putting down some new production here, because, you know, I have been complaining a fair bit today about gears. We could really do with some more gear production, so I'm going to throw something together here. It's not scalable, and maybe I should have gone for something scalable, but I wanted something really quick that I could just throw together in a very short amount of time that would just get us a bunch more gears, and then we're good for a little while longer. So I've just got 2 machines that are on either side of a chest, and they just take off the belt, load into the chest. Simple enough. You can also see the music kicking in right now at very slow speed. Some of the music is louder than others, so sometimes you don't really notice it. Sometimes it comes through a lot better. Really just kind of sounds like weird atmosphere at this kind of speed. There we go. 1 power pole is able to power the whole array, which is quite neat. I like how that's worked out. And the inserters get to work. Now, the problem is, I don't notice this till later, but the 1 inserter isn't enough to fully to keep that machine running full speed. The addition of more inserters would help me get more gear production. Also, of course, fast inserters would as well. We don't have those unlocked yet. I think we can only unlock those after electronics, and that's going at a decent clip, but I don't think it's quite going to get done today, and it's going to be something that is finished off early on next episode. At which point I will probably queue up fast inserters after that, because I would quite like to get some of those going. They do really help in a lot of places, especially things like gear production and wire production in the early game. But at the same time, I could just do it with standard inserters, so maybe I shouldn't be wasting my time doing a research like that that's less critical. Then again, I was struggling to spot a research that I particularly wanted to do urgently there, so I mean, we'll see. Once electronics is researched, I can appraise the, you know, the state of the science tree a bit more and see, like, is there anything that's now there that I wanna push for or work towards, that kind of thing. But really, I think we've got a lot of the important stuff for red science, and green science starts to become a more important thing to get done. Though I don't think I'll be able to get it done, you know, next episode. I would say the episode after would be a good time for that. Next episode's job is probably to get some heavier duty copper production, to get maybe some more circuit production going, and definitely to get some steel being smelted. We want to get some steel going, and maybe start working towards, I mean, well, setting the stage for some better furnaces, the you know, steel furnaces. But that's still a bit away. We've got to do green science first for that, so I'm getting ahead of myself now. Green science seems like something I could maybe go for next episode, but more likely would be the episode after. So we're talking 2023. Yeah, we'll see where we go from there. But I'm going to try and fix the problem we have with the iron ore supply. There is not enough going into this array, so I get rid of some of the old iron smelting and put in a whole bunch more miners. We've got 8 miners now, feeding into 12 stone furnaces, and I think that might be, you know, pretty close to the ratio. If I remember rightly, it's 5 miners to 8 furnaces. So I think the way I've got it now, it's actually a pretty good ratio. Probably should have left it there, but what I do is put down even more electric miners, and decide to just mine the whole deposit, run it all into this array, and work things out from there. So that's what we do. I'm just crafting the final mining drill there, and while I wait, I can clear out some of the old stuff here. So after that time spent fueling all those things, I ended up getting rid of them anyway. So a bit of a bad use of my time there. And that's the thing. I'm not doing this very efficiently, even though I'm really trying to rush it. It is by no means a speed run. It's the closest thing I've ever done to a speed run. But it is still definitely not. It ain't making any leaderboards, that's for sure. But you know, it might be done sooner rather than later. Maybe within my lifetime, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to think about it some more, look at the numbers. I don't know how quick I can play Factslowrio because I've never done something like this before, so it's hard for me to tell if I am gonna get it done in my lifetime or not. I had the idea last episode that it could be a permadeath, so if something kills me in the meantime, then that's that. But I mean, with Factslowrio, like, unless you really go and ham on the biters, death is unlikely. Then again, with my highly aggressive expansion, it is actually it's a genuine risk, and I should consider that possibility that I could just get mobbed by a whole bunch of biters one day. Sometimes they'll hang about for a long time and then send a really big attack, even in the early game, and if that happens, that can get you killed. And like, the factory will be okay, the turrets will be okay, you'll be able to come back and take them out. But if I get that one death, I think that's where I call it. I think that's the end of it. So yeah, I think permadeath is probably what this is going to be. Now that we're 5/6 episodes in, I think I've decided like how all the ideas of how this works maybe. But we are out of time. That is it. The alarm is gone for me and tells me that I've only got a few seconds left. And then I hang about for a second and I watch the clock and to see if and I give you a chance to see the whole factory in one image. There you get to see the whole thing. And I'm watching, waiting for it to be for the autosave to happen, and it doesn't. And in the end, I just cut it because I assume that we must be past it. And in the end, we're 5 seconds early. But there you go. It is what it is. And that's the episode. So, guess I'll see you next time. That's all we have time for today. So I should say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next year.